My name is Grace. I was 27 years old when I met Adrian Cole. I grew up in a very strict family. My parents believed love should be serious, clean, respectful. Because of that, I never dated much. I believed marriage should happen only once. Then one afternoon, I met Adrian at a coffee shop near my office. He was confident, charming, the kind of man who made people look at him when he entered a room. At first, I thought someone like him would never notice me, but he did. And after that day, he kept appearing in my life. Flowers at work, late-night calls, sweet messages every morning. Everything moved fast. Too fast. My friend Emma warned me about him once. "He never stays with one woman for long," she said quietly. But I didn't listen, because Adrian looked at me like I was different, special. Then one night, while driving me home, Adrian suddenly smiled and said, "Marry me, Grace." And before I could even process those words, he added, "We can leave for Las Vegas tomorrow." Everything happened so quickly after that. 2 days later, I was on a plane with Adrian flying to Las Vegas. Part of me felt nervous, but another part felt excited. I kept thinking maybe this was fate. Adrian held my hand the entire flight. He kept smiling at me, like he already knew I belonged beside him. Las Vegas felt loud and bright, nothing like my small town. That night, we got married in a tiny church near the hotel. No family, no friends, just Adrian and me. I wore a simple white dress. Adrian looked at me and said, "You're mine now." At the time, those words made my heart race. I thought they sounded romantic. After the wedding, we went back to the hotel together. I expected the night to feel magical, perfect. But something changed. Adrian became quiet suddenly, cold. He spent more time looking at his phone than looking at me. Then around midnight, his phone rang. He walked into the bathroom to answer it and stayed there for almost 20 minutes. When he came back, he wouldn't even look me in the eyes. Part 3. The Divorce. 2 to 3 p.m. The next morning, Adrian left the hotel early. He said he had a business meeting. I stayed alone in the room for hours, trying not to overthink things, trying to believe everything was still okay. When Adrian finally came back that evening, something felt different immediately. He looked tired, annoyed. Not like the man who begged me to marry him 3 days earlier. I walked toward him slowly. "Is everything all right?" I asked. Adrian loosened his tie and looked away. Then he said the words that destroyed me. "I want a divorce." For a second, I thought I heard him wrong. I waited for him to laugh, to say it was a joke. But he didn't. His face stayed cold. "You're too simple for my world, Grace," he said quietly. "You were exciting at first, but this," he looked around the room, "this isn't what I want." My chest felt tight. I could barely breathe. "Then why did you marry me?" I whispered. Adrian stayed silent for a moment. Then he grabbed his jacket and said, "Because I thought you were different." And just like that, the man who promised me forever walked out of the hotel room without looking back. I flew back home alone the next day. The entire flight felt unreal. Just 1 week earlier, I thought I found the love of my life. Now I was hiding in an airport bathroom crying. When I got home, things became even worse. My parents were furious. They said I married too quickly. They said I embarrassed the family. For days, I stayed inside my room, feeling completely lost. Then, one afternoon, my friend Emma came to visit me. She brought coffee and magazines. At first, I wasn't even paying attention. Then, suddenly, I froze. Adrian's face was on the front cover of a business magazine. My hands started shaking immediately. The headline said, "Millionaire businessman Adrian Cole spotted with new model." Millionaire? Businessman? I stared at the photo in shock. The expensive suit, the luxury car behind him, the woman holding his arm. I realized something terrifying in that moment. I never truly knew the man I married. Adrian hid his entire life from me, and somehow that betrayal hurt even more than the divorce itself. After seeing that magazine, something changed inside me. For days, I cried over Adrian, but now I felt angry instead. He lied to me. He used me. And then he disappeared like our marriage meant nothing. Emma told me I should talk to a lawyer. At first, I refused. I didn't want revenge, but I also didn't want Adrian thinking he could destroy people without consequences. So a week later, I walked into a lawyer's office carrying our wedding papers from Las Vegas. The lawyer looked through them carefully. Then he looked at me and said, "Your marriage is legal, Grace." My heart started beating faster. "You have rights." For the first time since the divorce, I felt a little stronger. A few days later, Adrian received the legal notice. That same night, my phone rang. "Adrian." I answered slowly. His voice sounded colder than ever. "You really think you can take my money?" he asked. I stayed quiet for a second. Then I finally answered, "You already took something much more important from me." Part 6. The man everyone was talking about. 5 to 6. The news about our marriage spread quickly after that. Suddenly, people online were talking about me. Reporters waited outside Adrian's office. Business blogs posted photos from our wedding in Las Vegas. And for the first time, Adrian looked nervous. A few days later, he called me again. This time, his voice sounded angry. "You're embarrassing me," he said sharply. I almost laughed. Embarrassing him? After everything he did to me? "You embarrassed yourself, Adrian," I answered quietly. Then I ended the call. The court case lasted for months. It was exhausting. But in the end, the judge ruled in my favor. Adrian had to give financial support after the divorce, not because I wanted his money, because actions have consequences. When I walked out of the courthouse that day, reporters shouted my name. Cameras flashed everywhere. But strangely, for the first time in months, I didn't feel ashamed anymore. I felt free. And somewhere behind me, Adrian stood surrounded by cameras, finally looking like a man who lost control of the story. A few weeks after the court case, my parents called me. My mother cried on the phone. She said they wanted me to come home. They said they forgave me. For a moment, I almost said yes. I missed them. I missed my old life. But deep down, I knew I could never become that same girl again. Too much had changed. So instead, I rented a small apartment near the bookstore where I worked. It wasn't fancy, but it was mine. For the first time in my life, I was making my own decisions. Months later, I saw Adrian again in a magazine. Same expensive suit, same cold smile. But this time, I felt nothing. No heartbreak, no anger, just distance. Because I finally understood something important. Love without respect will always turn painful, and no amount of charm, money, or promises can build a real relationship without honesty. Adrian taught me that lesson in the worst possible way. But in the end, he didn't destroy me. He forced me to become stronger than I had ever been before. People still ask me sometimes if I regret meeting Adrian. Honestly, for a long time, I did. I regretted trusting him. I regretted marrying someone I barely knew. But now I see things differently. Before Adrian, I lived my life trying to become the perfect woman. Quiet, careful, always afraid of disappointing people. Then one man entered my life and broke the future I imagined for myself. At the time, it felt like the end of everything. But sometimes, pain forces people to grow in ways comfort never could. Today, I still believe in love, but now I understand something I didn't understand before. Real love should make you feel safe, respected, seen, not confused, not ashamed, and definitely not disposable. If someone truly loves you, they won't hide who they are from you, because love built on lies always falls apart eventually. If you were in my place, would you have trusted Adrian too? Tell me in the comments. And if this story stayed with you, like and subscribe.